President Trump has announced another round of tariffs on Chinese goods. This time, the president tweeted there will be a 10% tariff on the remaining $300 billion worth of goods coming into the U.S. from China. This would be in addition to the goods already tariffed at 25%. And he says this will start September 1st. Chinese leaders have already promised to hit back. We're talking about this and more for the Friday Business Report. And joining us for this discussion is Miro Kopik with Bottom Line Marketing and SDSU. Miro, welcome.
Thanks, Ebony.
Happy Friday. So what will this mean for consumers?
Well, this is certainly a little bit unprecedented. We're talking about this $300 billion. Over 60% of it is consumer goods. So up to now, it's been mostly industrial goods. This is really impacting stuff that people buy, laptops, cell phones, toys in particular, apparel. This is going to impact holiday shopping. Businesses are trying to figure out whether this tariff means that, does this include any goods landed on September the 1st, goods already on a boat by September the 1st. So there's a lot of murkiness here. But what happens to a family of four? A family of four so far on this $250 billion that you mentioned is already paying an additional $850 a year in additional costs on goods and services that they're buying right now. This additional tariff will add probably somewhere between $400 and $500. What this does is for a median income, it takes away all the wage increases that consumers have had over the last couple of years. So it's a very difficult thing, and consumers are going to bear the brunt of this. And what we've seen in the past, companies were sure that the tariffs were going to go up, so they might even increase the pricing more than 10%. This will ultimately impact goods that are going to be bought later in the holiday season, and we're going to have to wait and see.
So up next, and sticking with the president's Twitter account, this week he tweeted his displeasure with the chair of the Federal Reserve. This after the Fed lowered interest rates for the first time since 2008. So Miro, how significant was this reduction, and why isn't the president satisfied?
You know, it's interesting. The reduction, it was a quarter of a point, so it's not a huge reduction, but the president and also a lot of Wall Street had hoped for maybe a half a point. Like you said, it's the first reduction since 2008. The big benefit for consumers is that immediately you'll see auto loan rates, mortgage rates can start to decline, so it'll make buying a house easier, buying a car easier. Businesses can borrow a little bit more cheaply, but the decision was a tough one by the Fed. They originally, for a long time, were going to continue to raise rates or hold the rates. And on the plus side of why they wouldn't want to raise rates or reduce rates is the economy's doing well, unemployment is low, and inflation is low. But if inflation stays too low, the Fed's target is to make sure that inflation is at a certain level to keep momentum in the economy. So inflation's been a little bit low, and then because of the trade war with China, the global slowdown, and that the tax cuts have finally kind of petered out, they felt that kind of stimulating the economy right now was going to be important.
And lastly, the merger between Sprint and T-Mobile is moving forward. This despite an antitrust lawsuit from some attorneys general, including Javier Becerra. The lawsuit is actually claiming that this would reduce competition and therefore be bad for consumers and bad for workers. What's the status of this merger, and why do the two companies feel that this is the right move?
They've tried to do this. This is the third time. So they're hoping third time's the charm. They tried in 2014 and 2017. And this time what they try to do, so there's two parts of this review. There's the federal part. So the Department of Justice and the Federal Communications Commission agreed that this is the green light, the merger. And as part of that merger, what it does is it creates one entity, which will be called T-Mobile, and it'll be almost the same size as Verizon and AT&T, so they can compete more aggressively. Right now, there's 4 players in the marketplace. Those 2 are independent companies. Sprint is in real trouble of going bankrupt. T-Mobile's been fairly successful, but they're really much smaller than AT&T and Verizon, so the marketing dollars aren't there. And they promised the government that they would expand 5G networks to rural areas. They would cap prices for 3 years, and a number of other promises. And they also were going to set up a whole new competitor. Dish Network, the satellite TV company, is going to get Sprint's prepaid business and the use of all this spectrum to be a fourth competitor, because the government was really concerned about keeping 4 competitors in the marketplace. And that's what the attorneys general are arguing against. They're saying that Dish is not a wireless company. They haven't had any of that experience. There's no reason to believe that they would be a good fourth competitor. And they feel that only 3 years of locking down prices will allow these 3 players to raise prices after that. So, and today Texas joined the lawsuit as well.
Wow. Well, that wraps up this week's Friday Business Report. Miro Kopik, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Ebony.